Hi there guys, Sam here, welcome back to another video. Join me once again in my Mk7 Golf R to talk about some of the common issues and some of the issues I've personally experienced over the last sort of 3.5 years of owning this car. Yeah, and to kind of summarise it in a nice and simple video. So let's get straight into this one. So yes, I wanted to go through my experience of owning this car for sort of last, well, 30,000 miles, 3 years, and some of the things that I've gone through, some of the problems that I've encountered, and yeah, kind of what's happened with it. I think the main thing I want to stress overall, this car is absolutely brilliant and absolutely bulletproof. So if you're looking for a car like a Golf R or any car with the EA 888 engine, the 2-litre 4-cylinder, I'd thoroughly recommend it. That's my summary overall for the 3 years. But let's go through some of the problems that I've had, and they're not necessarily major, but it's just something that I've experienced as an owner. So what was the first thing that I had when I collected this car? I had a cracked windscreen just from a stone chip. It can happen in absolutely any car, but the reason why I wanted to bring that up is because when I spoke to personally the Auto Glass people who fixed it, they just said it's the easiest windscreen they've ever had to replace. It's just that German build quality, really. They said they've gone through so many different manufacturers and cars, and it just is a complete faff for them. So it's nice and easy for them. Again, yeah, a nice and easy thing to get sorted, and something that's quite common. Obviously, if you're doing motorway journeys, these sort of things happen. You want to know it can get done nice and easy. So that was one thing that got sorted. The other issue that I had, and one of the main issues that I had, was with the battery, and that was this year. Now, this is a common fault, unfortunately, with these cars, and they were fitted with essentially a defunct battery. That's what I was told from a VW dealer, and the ultimate fix for that is to replace the battery. Now, all that will happen is it will just die over time. It's one of the EFB batteries from a certain manufacturer, and yeah, it just died and conked out. And that was probably the worst thing that I've had happen to this car. It just left me a bit stranded. Yeah, I couldn't really go anywhere. Had to keep jump starting the car. But yeah, the battery was one thing that happened, basically. Some of the other problems that I thought was actually quite an issue for me, particularly when I was test driving these cars and trying to get an understanding of, you know, whether or not I'd wanted one, was the front lights. They actually fog up quite a bit. Now, this can be due to the massive heat that they produced from the LEDs and just from the bi-xenon lights as part of this that my Mk7 Golf R has. And that's actually quite common. And to be honest, the cars that I test drove, I think it was more because they were just left out in the cold. I'm fortunate enough to have a bit of a carport or a garage for my car, so I think that helps out a little bit more. And for me, it's been absolutely fine. It does build up a little bit of condensation, doesn't affect the visibility when you're sort of driving or anything like that, and it goes quite quickly. But yeah, I did notice that on a lot of cars actually that I did test drive. In fact, every single one that I test drove, and it really put me off. But it's not a big deal. It can be worse in some if it really does get stuck behind there. And if you want to replace a, well, yeah, a bi-xenon light main from a, you know, a main VW part, it's not going to be a cheap fix. So it's just something to think about and something that I wanted to mention as well. Now, as for like sort of like the infotainment quality and everything, in terms of, yeah, if there's been any problems here, it's been solid. Heated seats, air conditioning, everything. I generally can't think of any problems that I've had sitting in this car, doing the amount of miles that I have done in it, that I've had any problems. It's just been absolutely bulletproof. So that's one real positive from my side. You know, everything that I've asked to work has worked. I think I always sort of question like the radar guided cruise control. You know, I'm 3 years in, that's been absolutely fine. I believe over time it's probably worth replacing that or getting that updated from VW. But for me, it's been a no cost sort of thing for me that I've sort of gone through. One of the things that surprised me a little bit further, if you get it on 18-inch Cadiz diamond cut wheels, something that I didn't realise before I got the car, diamond cut wheels are a little bit harder to refurb, and you can only refurbish them a certain amount of time. You potentially have to, well, it's a specialist tool to actually cut off, yeah, a bit of the curbing mark that you've done. I've done videos on that, and I've done plenty of videos actually on this ownership of this Golf R, if you want to subscribe to my channel and check those videos out. But that was one thing I wanted to mention because that did surprise me, and basically what it means is you can't keep curbing your wheel and you can't keep getting away with it. Eventually it's just a case of, oh, you have to like almost powder coat the wheel so it's no longer a diamond cut, which kind of defeats the object. I think they look nice and shiny. Other than that, I really can't, I'm lost to trying to think of any more problems that I've had with the car. You know, one of the main things that came up early on, and something I should mention, is the coolant. So it would lose coolant basically too quickly, and that happened within sort of like the first year. So I was well within warranty. And checking forums and bits, it can be an issue with like a leaking thermostat housing, and essentially actually getting that replaced fully, which is the ultimate fix for if it's leaking, is quite an expensive part. You're looking at VW sort of around £600, including labour. You will be able to get that down if you source the parts yourself and you get it done by an independent. You can get that a little bit less, but it's not a cheap thing, and it's quite a common thing, particularly in early cars. Something again, check out other videos as well, sort of on YouTube. They sort of document it quite in depth, but I experienced it and it was low. We topped it up at a VW dealer. I took it to them. They said it's not leaking, it's fine, we've just topped it up, and I've had no issues since. And that was over 2.5 years ago now. So yeah, you can sometimes get away with it, but it is a common thing. And it's just something to be aware of, particularly if you're looking at this car as like a used purchase, which they all are now because they're Mark 7s. Something to consider. Other than that, the EA888 engine, which is the heartbeat of the car, it's something that is going to cost you the most money if something was to go wrong. They're bulletproof. They're in so many different models. They're sold in Porsche Macans, they're sold in Skodas, they're sold in Audis, they're sold in VWs. They're sold in so many different varieties of cars in a load of different states of tunes. They're solid. So from my personal experience, I don't really have any more bad things to say about the engine. I think it's a top quality engine. If you have a Golf R, it's going to have a Haldex system, and basically if you get one used, make sure it's had its Haldex service. Make sure the Haldex oil has been changed. It's very important, otherwise your car might end up randomly becoming a front wheel drive car because the rear wheels won't work, in which case you may as well have got a Golf GTI. So just keep a top up on that. My final point really is there are plenty of VW dealers around, particularly in the UK or the countries that you're in. It's a global car. Don't be afraid to talk to them. Don't be afraid to talk to the specialists, because things change all the time. I was speaking to a VW dealer this year and they were telling me about some of the things that they'd picked up and that, and it's very hard to keep up with this. So let them do the hard work for you. It's a daily car which is there to be enjoyed, and yeah, you can definitely enjoy it without having too many problems, which puts a massive smile on my face. I really think this is bulletproof, and if you keep following the channel, I'll probably who knows how long I'll have this car for and how many more miles I'll put on it in the future. So that's a really great thing. It's a top quality car, and I wanted to do like a nice little simple video, hopefully not too long, and hopefully useful to you, just coming from an owner's perspective. I don't know every ins and outs of a car, but I am passionate about my cars, and if you look after it, it will look after you, and you can't say that about other cars, unfortunately. And happy motoring. Make sure you get a good one. Full service history is the most critical thing for me. Amount of owners is critical as well. If I was sitting in this car and it had 5 owners, you just don't know. It's just different risks. So look out for that, and you can have sort of like trouble-free motoring as well. I would personally avoid cars which have been mapped or stage 1, stage 2. That's just from my experience and from speaking to actual like mechanics and stuff like that. They just say it's a bulletproof engine, but don't modify it. Basically, don't tune it. If you do, and you're all okay, it's more credit to the fact that the engine was such a good quality unit in the first place. It's perfectly fine stock anyway, but that's just my advice if you want to use it as a daily and you want it to be reliable. But I hope those little issues and sort of things that cropped up in my ownership do help you out. Trying to summarize it over sort of 3 years. I've done so many videos in the past. I thought it'd make it nice and easy for you to check out and listen to on your Monday evening, and I hope you found it useful. But let me know in the comments any sort of problems or experiences that you've had with your Golf R or Golf GTI or anything with the EA888 engine as well. And I hope it helps people out, just checking through the comments, because that's what the channel is all about. It's a bit of a community channel, and that's my only intention really, to help people out, and I think it's a great use buy at the moment. But listen, thanks so much for watching. Stay tuned, plenty more content to come, and I'll see you again next time. Cheers, guys.